What is your best "this is definitely not the right room" story? My in-laws, husband, and I thought we were late for a funeral. We sat in the back and then we hear, "Now let us commend the soul of our friend, Dave." Who the fuck is Dave? My mother-in-law. Oh no, wrong funeral. Quote, "We had to pretend we were trying to hide the laughter. Sorry Dave. We are so sorry. Sorry man, Dave's not here." There were several toilet stalls but no urinals. I walked into a gender-neutral bathroom, saw no urinals, and walked out to double-check it wasn't a woman's room. Monsieur, I figured they just took the men's and women's room and slapped a new sign on each. I used the former men's room because urinals save water. My mom, trying to lose weight and get in shape, signed up for a beginner's jogging class. She showed up the first day, saw someone she knew, started chatting. When the woman started asking her about qualifying race times, she started to realize there was an issue. It was the wrong day. She had found herself in the most advanced running group. The super nice coach kept her for the workout, giving her adapted exercises. Must be a great guy. I'm proud of my mom for admitting her mistake and sticking around doing simple stuff alongside the expert level running class. I would have just jogged right out of there and never would have shown up again. Not even for the correct class. Back when my husband and I lived in an apartment complex, the nearest dumpster was 2 buildings away. So every time I took the trash out, I'd have to walk past our building and 2 others. Well, one night I threw the trash in the dumpster and started walking back. But I guess I must have been lost and thought about something and wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I got to the building, went up the stairs, and approached the apartment door. I remember thinking something was weird because I had just swept off the landing. But the broom I had leaned against the wall was gone, as well as our doormat. I didn't think too much on it, thinking maybe my husband grabbed them after I left. Whatever. I open the door and my eyes immediately fall on these 2 kids sitting in the floor watching TV. I don't have kids or know anyone who has kids this age. Mom and Dad are sitting on the couch. I, a white male, just walked into an African-American family's apartment and I just froze. Seconds went by that just felt like hours, and everyone just kind of looked at me uncomfortably, and I think all I could say was, "Oh no," in the smallest voice before backing out and closing the door. We were all in shock. I remember freezing again on the other side of the door, hand still on the knob, holding my breath, just listening and being terrified of what their reaction would be. Then I just hear them all start laughing at the same time, and an immediate wave of relief hits me. And I head back to my apartment laughing so hard I was crying. I was surprised that they didn't keep their door locked, but they probably did after that. I lived alone a few years ago and forgot to lock my door once after bringing in groceries. One day, a girl my age opened my door without knocking, assuming it was her friend's apartment. I mustered a meek hello in time to see her absolutely mortified face. I laughed so hard but remembered to keep my door locked in the future. I certainly hope she remembered to knock. My drunk neighbor staggered into my apartment late one night asking if I'd seen his dog or something. Wrong apartment, dude. Kinda shoved him out the door and locked it. His wife wouldn't let him in and he passed out on the stairs. It isn't my story, but on the first day of middle school, my friend sat in an 8th grade algebra class for 20 minutes before realizing she was supposed to be next door. I sat in the wrong Sunday school class until the teacher pointed out I wasn't in her class. I was 7 and really shy. I knew it was wrong when I came in and sat down, but I was too scared to admit I was in the wrong place. I would have stayed the whole time if she hadn't kindly moved me to my correct classroom, monsieur. My ex-father-in-law had had a heart attack. I give his name at the nurse's station and she gives me the room number and tells me it's bed number 2, by the window. So, I go into the room and hear a soft voice from behind the curtain saying a prayer. Nothing unusual. as the in-laws were quite religious. I slip in and don't immediately recognize anyone but figure it's because they've all got their heads bowed. When the prayer is over, I very softly said, "Sorry I'm late," only to have 4 strangers raise their heads and turn to look at me. Then I look at the man in the bed. He's very obviously dead and also very obviously not my Phil. I apologized and ran back out. Turns out this person had the same last name as my Phil and same first initial. They must have thought you were the Grim Reaper waiting for them to finish their prayers before you take "Hi monsieur, sorry I'm late," and then you look at the body, confirm the death and zip out. I was convinced to go to a party where I didn't know anyone. Everyone was in the garage standing around a keg. After a few beers, I tried to strike up a conversation with someone. It was some chick and I asked her why she didn't have a beer. She told me she was pregnant. We talked for a little while and I moved around. After a few more beers I saw her again and shook her belly and said, "It's gonna be a soccer player." Then I looked and she was just a chubby girl and not the pregnant one. I walked home. You are a legend. Not me, my monsieur. I was on a road trip with my family to Destin, Florida, and we had stopped at a McDonald's to brush our teeth and get some breakfast since we had been in the car for a long time. My dad and I finished up first and went to wait for my mom in the car. As she was headed out though, she went to a car a couple of parking spaces away from ours that looked exactly like ours. There were no cars between our car and the other one, so my dad and burst into laughter as my mom desperately tried to get into the car. Thankfully there was no one in it, so she didn't risk getting kidnapped or something. After a while of her standing by the car after she realized we weren't in it, she later told me she thought we had gone back and when she didn't notice or something. My dad finally rolled down his window and loudly called out, "Hey pretty lady, having trouble getting into your car?" Quote, she was so red and it was cute to see her playfully slap him and pretend to be pissed at him when she got into the right car. I jumped into a stranger's car and announced, "Boy, birth control is so fucking expensive." Quote, monsieur, I don't know you. I can't help you. Me, oh shite. Have a nice day. Walked into the women's bathroom at a movie theater a few years ago. All of a sudden, my mom walks in and says, "Bud, you're in the wrong bathroom, monsieur." Thank God no one else was in there. Monsieur, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. I was doing household clearances for a living. One day I was supposed to get a truckload of junk from a basement, of which I only saw photos before, in an apartment building. The lady lived abroad, so she gave the key to her former neighbor. I just had to ring there, get the key, remove the junk, give her the key back. She had a common name. I rang. A nice elderly lady opened. I said I was supposed to get the key for the basement. She gave me a key for the basement without seeming confused about my question. She had nothing to do with my client. It was her basement. When I had emptied it and gave the key back, she was a little confused it had taken so long to read the gas meter. That is hysterical. Luckily there wasn't a lot in that basement, so it was quickly put back in there. And by accidentally going through her stuff, I knew that she obviously likes one brand of beer, so I just got her 2 crates instead of flowers as an apology. Played in a church band growing up and practiced same time, place every Saturday. Every time there was rough on the edges groups standing by the back door chain smoking, which was a bit weird for a church, especially because they didn't really say hello. Finally I said, "Fuck it," and went in to introduce myself to these people I always saw in the room. They were always it. When I walked in I got a bunch of blank stares, a few confused waves, and a "Can I help you with anything" from a person. I left and forgot all about it. About 15 years later I realized I had just interrupted an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I used to deliver flowers for a local florist. When delivering flowers to a funeral home, there was generally a door in the back of the building labeled "Deliveries." I'd enter, sign the delivery sheet and be on my way. One day I delivered to a new place. There were 3 doors out back, all unlabeled, so I just pick one. But I'm not paying attention because I'm trying to get my paperwork squared away. I look up and there's about 6 corpses laying under sheets throughout the room. Monsieur, the temperature and chemical smell should have been a clue. I was at university, had only been there like a month or so was still getting used to where everything was. I had a physics lecture, and vaguely knew where to go. But there was a queue right up the staircase, so I stood at the bottom where there happened to be 2 people I knew from my course, so I thought, cool, I'm in the right place. Eventually the queue started to move up, so we followed them into a lab. But I was sure we had a lecture. Nothing practical. Anyway, we put lab coats on and took a handout. Then realized we were in a final year microbiology lab practical and our physics lecture had started like 10 minutes ago. Down the corridor, quickly threw the coats back on the rack, grabbed our stuff and ran out of there. I wonder what kind of bacteria we'd have been dealing if we stayed in. No one noticed we were in the wrong room, monsieur. I parked my gray Jeep in the small parking lot for a weekly outdoor tennis tournament. I was the first one there. The women's league, side by side with the men's, finished earlier. So I got in my car and pushed the button and put it in reverse. The men's league flagged me down before I pulled out. It wasn't my car. It started because by habit both of us left the fob in the car while we played tennis. I got out and said, yeah, I didn't remember buying the newspaper today when I saw it sitting on the passenger seat. Otherwise, it was the exact same as mine, inside and out. I tell myself there's a strategic advantage to keeping my car full of old jackets, 2 Frisbees, MBK receipts. Once I went up to my car, a red Honda SUV, tried to open the door, and found it locked. Then I remembered that I had actually taken our other car, a gray Infiniti, which happened to be parked just next to it. So I go to the door of the Infiniti, open it, and drive away. I saw a guy watching this play out and I have no idea what he was thinking. Given that the 2 cars looked nothing alike, it definitely looked like I was just trying the cars until one opened. One time at a grocery store I couldn't figure why my key fob to our van wasn't working. Then I noticed a bunch of stuff inside that wasn't mine. That was when I finally realized it wasn't my van. So many people drive red Chrysler minivans. Went to the post office. I came out and got in the car. 20 seconds later someone else gets out and it's standing by my door confused and pissed off. We had pretty much identical cars and I got in his instead of mine. Oh man, way back when the Prius Gen 2 came out I got one with my ex. Post signing the paperwork we went for a celebratory lunch. Parked next to a Prius pretty much the exact same as ours. Hybrids represent. We ran into the other couple when we were leaving, got in our cars and they wouldn't start. Us looking around realizing we were in the wrong cars, getting out and swapping cars. Our keyless entry was close enough to recognize we were near but not enough to start the cars when we were in the monsieur. Y'all just leave your cars unlocked. It was just a quick pop into mail letter in a safe neighborhood. I was only in there a few minutes. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.